You shouldn't feel like people owe you a tip. Have we actually lost our minds in this country? What is going on, mi familia, mi gente, my village people? Let's get right into it. So not too long ago, I created a video. It was a parody talking about tipping culture. Basically how in other countries you can just do anything. People are like ready to help you. But here in America, they want you to tip for every single thing. Uy, salud. Gracias. No pasa nada. Oh, excuse me. Oh, bless you. Thank you. Don't mention it. I am tired of tipping culture. I've noticed that there's been this wave of people just voicing their concerns and just like how they feel about how far tipping culture has gone in America. And to be honest, I'm here for it. I think my issue with tipping culture comes from the fact that it's gotten to the point where you feel obligated to tip. It's no longer like an extra kind gesture, you know, something that you want to go the extra mile because the customer service was just so good, the experience was just so good. Now it's like, oh no, you need to factor in that tip. Now, let's make it clear that I'm not talking about restaurants. We already know that if you come to restaurants in America, you have to build in your tip, right? You have to factor in your tip. So don't go to restaurants in America and say you're tired of tipping culture. That's how they make their money. I know it's not like that in other countries, but in America, that's just how it is, right? So we're not talking about that. And to be honest, I'm not really talking about, let's say, nail salons or businesses like that where you know that they are receiving a commission. Now, I do feel like restaurants are like the main ones where, okay, yeah, you need to tip. But places where people are receiving a commission, then, you know, yeah, because you already know that that full amount is not going to them. Not that you're obligated to in that case, but I just feel like it makes sense, right? They're not receiving everything. Now let's get back into it. I have been seeing videos going viral of like DoorDash employees just looking at people's houses and saying, oh, you only left X amount of tips, and like, look at your house, like you can do better than that. And now I'm just like, have we actually lost our minds in this country? I get it. You know, for me, that there was that one video in particular that went really viral, and that actually just, it irritated me so much. First of all, you don't even know if that's her house. How do you know that she's not babysitting for someone? And you just looking at somebody's house, you're making one thing that irritates me, I hate when people count people's pockets. If there's one thing I hate, the thing used to vex me. There was another video that I stumbled upon on TikTok where the lady wrote a note to the customer that she was delivering food for. Something to the effect of maybe she was upset that the lady didn't leave a tip. Mind you, you haven't even finished the service. You haven't even dropped off the food. How are you expecting a tip and you haven't even really finished the job? And lo and behold, the lady actually was going to tip in cash.
Hello.
Ignore. You keep that.
Why?
Because I didn't see a tip on the app and I put a little card in there. So please keep that. I'm sorry.
No, I just had cash. Please take
It's okay. It's okay because it's okay. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Hello.
So the lady had the cash ready to hand to her, and the woman is like, hey, you know, just disregard whatever I wrote in that bag. Now, I am not advocating for people to be stingy. Absolutely not. I consider myself a very generous tipper. I would like to be a philanthropist in the future, you know, God willing. But now that the economy has been doing higi-haga and people are, you know, kind of dialing back on expenses, I have to be a little bit more wise, right? It doesn't mean that I'm walking around with a tight fist, you know, not giving to anyone. I don't believe in that, because I really believe if you walk around with a tight fist, then you don't leave room for, you know, God to pour in blessings. And I think there is beauty in giving. Sometimes you may have to give sacrificially, but that can be that could be like to a charity or someone on the street, right? But we're talking specifically about tipping culture. I used to feel obligated to tip heavily at certain establishments, even if I was not too pleased with the service, because I was a woman of color. right? And people of color have that stereotype that, oh, you know, they don't tip and things like that. So I would almost put that pressure on myself, and I would feel obligated, like, oh, I don't want them to think that I'm one of those that's not gonna tip. I'm sure they didn't mind it, but it wasn't really coming from a place of, oh wow, this person really outdid themselves. Like, they went above and beyond serving this food. They took down my order correctly. Like, they didn't mess anything up. They gave me extra this. It was more of like, oh, I don't want them to think that all Black people are this, or all, you know, Africans are this. It's almost like I was tipping for the whole community. And I don't think that's a good place to give from. Because at the end of the day, I feel like what's really behind that is, what will they think, right? That people pleasing mentality. And that's actually not good. And I'm like, I've been breaking away from that, because I don't want to give from a place of obligation or a place of, oh, I don't want to be judged. No, if I want to give, I want to give freely. I want to give. I want to be excited about giving. Like, if I'm like, this person really just outdid themselves and I'm just so pleased, it will just come naturally. I think 2 days ago, I stumbled across a video of this girl. She had gotten braids, and she said she paid $350 for her braids. And she said this was the first time that she had gotten her hair done without tipping, and she felt good about it.
I did not tip the girl who did my braids yesterday, and this was the first time I haven't tipped to get my hair done, and I was fueled with anxiety, especially when I hand her over the cash and she starts counting it, and I was like, I just did not feel like tipping was necessary on this service. For reference, this was $350 to get done. These are small, knotless, and this is a French curl braid. That averages out, took her 7.5 hours, $46 an hour. Minus the cost of hair, so we'll just round it down to $40 an hour. She didn't have to commute. She's not paying any extra overhead because she works from home. I think that that's a really good price. How many people are making $40 an hour? I want to also add that I had to go to the ATM, which is the most inconvenient method of payment, to go get the exact amount of cash that I need for the appointment. I also had to come wash, condition, and blow dry, and I was the one that had to do the commuting. This is no shade, no tea, no nothing. This was the most comfortable braiding experience I've ever gotten. She was the best braider I've ever had, and I will definitely be going back to her. A lot of people say tipping is how you say thank you, but to me, saying thank you is how you say thank you. Respecting people's policies, arriving to your appointment on time, being respectful of the space that you're in, letting them take photos of their work after, and maybe telling your friends, or if you have a social media following, that to me is how you say thank you. We don't need to bump someone's $40 an hour work up to $45 to say thank you. Sue me. You know,
$350 for some braids, that's not chicken change. If you are a service provider and you are making your own prices, right? You're not working for commission, you are making your own prices. You shouldn't feel like people owe you a tip. If you want to factor your tip in the price, no problem. Now, if some of y'all get too greedy and now you're trying to get extra $70, $80 tip and you're raising your prices to become that, well, don't be surprised if you lose some clientele. But you should set your price to where if that person does not tip, you are good.
There were so many interesting comments under that last video, so feel free to pause to read. Now, this top comment here was the one that kind of irritated me, because it's saying, oh, as a hairdresser, I'd be offended and I'd be super busy the next time you needed your hair braided, all because you didn't leave a tip. This is not somebody running off with your money. And my thing is it worth it to lose a loyal clientele just over a $20, $25 tip or whatever it is when you set your price? So that's the kind of stuff that kind of irritates me. And people like that don't need to be doing business.
Even sometimes I may get like a beauty service done, and maybe it'll be like an hour and it's about maybe $85 an hour. Now this is someone that has like a suite, but $85 an hour, $90 an hour, that is pretty good. And so if I decide that I want to tip on top of that because I just really enjoy coming here, then no problem. But that person shouldn't be, you know, treating me some kind of way if I just pay your $85. There was another lady sharing her experience of how she went to one of these cosmetic places, and I think she got like, you know, Botox and all these, you know, I guess injectables. And so her bill at the end of it was about $3,000. And then lo and behold, when she went to pay, they showed her that tip screen. And I'm like, I think one of the tips was like $500. I said, girl, and even she was shocked because yes, okay, she has the money to do this, but $500 for a tip? I don't know. I'm gonna have to hit that custom tip 00 real quick. The one that gets me the most is whenever I go to a Starbucks or whenever I go to any kind of coffee shop or any kind of place where they're making my like salad or like bowl, and then when it comes time to pay, I had to literally look for where to put no tip because they made it hard. Like it's almost like they don't even give you a choice anymore. Like you go to the next screen and it's 15%, 20, 25. I say with my full chest, I'm gonna find that no tip because this is your job. Why are you guys making it so difficult? It's almost like you're pressuring us to leave a tip for someone that is not waiting on us or anything. And I feel like a lot of these companies and corporations, they do that to guilt people into paying their employees what they should be paying. So instead of raising their wages, they put it on you as a customer to tip to make up for what they should be paying their employees. I just feel like people these days feel entitled to other people's money. And again, I don't like when people count other people's pockets. I always say that if, for example, you worked at a restaurant or someone works at a restaurant and let's say Elon Musk or Oprah or Tyler Perry, they come into that restaurant, they spend $100 on a meal, right? $100, that's their tab. If they were to tip 25%, which is actually pretty good, there are people that would be dissatisfied with that because they are counting people's pockets and they feel entitled to your money. They feel like because you're a billionaire, because you're this, you need to be leaving me a tip of $1,000 and you need to be leaving me a $5,000 check to pay for my school. I'm like, listen, regardless of how these people get their money, whether they get it in a good way or a bad way, I don't know how, you know, and some of them is just hard work. Regardless of how they get their money, that's not your money. You're not entitled to them. And again, I've seen videos of people that have worked at restaurants saying, oh, this person came in, this is what the person tipped me, and this. Now some of these celebrities, they are pretty stingy, I ain't gonna lie. At the end of the day, I just don't feel like you should be expecting some person, regardless of how rich you think they are, to now come and be funding your lifestyle. You're looking at them as your meal ticket. Even if you saw that they came out of their Rolls Royce and in fact, when they stepped out, money was even falling everywhere. Even though, it's still not your business. You make your prices, don't demonize people for not tipping. You don't know what people have. I don't care if the lady walked in with a Louis Vuitton purse, a Birkin bag. You don't even know. You don't even know if that's her own bag. Inflation is real. Things are getting expensive out here and wages are not really matching. I think you can still have a giving heart without falling into the trap of tipping culture. So I would love to know what you all think. Have you fallen victim to tipping culture? I would love to know below. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, please be sure to click the subscribe button. I'm looking forward to bringing you more content. Until next time.